Sometimes, or sometimes you want to get together, let's go play a game of soccer or whatever. You want to go ball, play hoop or something. Like, sometimes you just, that's good. We need that because it's those moments of hanging out that translates to this. When you're going through hell on earth and you need somebody to touch and agree with you and to pray with you, it's the same person that was there with you when things were great. That's the person you're going to call on when things are not looking so hot. This is why the fellowship is important. Because if you don't have genuine connections when you start to struggle, what do? You do it alone and then you hide everything. And then now there's no way to help you, and so now you're suffering in the dark alone. It should not be so. We have so many people here who love and care for you. It shouldn't be that way. And until we break through that barrier, that's going to limit the revival that God has for us. Oh, I got to move on. Praise the Lord. So the book of Acts, that was the book of Acts. But if you go over just a couple more chapters, let's look at Acts chapter 8. And before we talk about what happened here, look at this. Philip was not an apostle. Philip was not a preacher. Does anybody remember what Philip's ministry was? No. They call him Philip the Evangelist later. Yes, man worked in the soup kitchen. That was Philip's ministry. He was called in Acts chapter 7 to feed the old women. That's what Philip was called to do. That's Philip. He's not Paul in the desert for 3 years having visions and stuff. He's not Peter preaching the day of Pentecost. He's the guy feeding food to the homeless. He's the guy that's feeding food to the widows. That's who he was. That same man understood what he was called to do. He went to Samaria and was tearing it up. It said, persecution came to the church, so they scattered. So Philip was like, well, don't got no widows to feed, but I got a gospel to preach. All right, guess I'm preaching then. So he went down to Samaria. He began preaching. He didn't learn a class on how to preach. He was feeding widows. He said, but you know what? It's not me. It's the power of Christ in me. So I'm going to start talking about the Bible. We'll see what happened. And this is what happened. The crowds were with one accord, and they were giving attention to what Philip said. And when they heard and saw the signs that he was performing, for in the case, many who had unclean spirits, they were coming out with them, shouting with a loud voice. And many who were paralyzed and lame were healed. And so there was much rejoicing in the city. Philip was like, I heard that Jesus did it. And then Jesus said, greater shall you do. Then I'm going to go do. And so Philip started preaching. People started getting touched. These people were coming with demons. He said, okay, well, Jesus cast out a devil. I probably can do it too. Laid hands on him. Boom, demon gone. Oh, okay. Oh, this person paralyzed. Jesus healed paralyzed people. I could probably do that too. Boom, they were tearing it up. We have to get over this. Listen, your name don't have to be Pastor so-and-so to be used of God. All you have to do is have faith, step out and say, listen, silver and gold, I don't got. Look, this inflation is hitting all of us. But you know what I can do? I can pray for you. I know you have the situation, but I don't care who's around. If you will have enough faith to touch God right here, miracles can happen right now. It can be at your job. It can be at the grocery store. It can be at the gas station. It can be on your way to church. You stop somewhere and start praying somebody through right there. This is the book of Acts. This church is going to become what we're supposed to be when all of us, not just the few, not just the preacher, not just the fivefold ministry, but when every saint realizes that the same power and anointing that I have, every single one of us have. And lastly, I'll say this, and then someone's going to have to help Alyssa. And lastly, I'll say this. Oh, she's dropping her off. Very good. Acts 17. So it's not just prayer and community and devotion to the doctrine, all that's good. It's not just getting out there and doing the work. That's good too. We need all that. But look at this. Acts 17. Now, while Paul was waiting for them in Athens, so he's waiting for his caravan to come, and they were going to go do more missions work. His spirit was being provoked within him as he was observing a city full of idols. His spirit was stirred within him. Man, God just corrected me. I have one point here in my notes, and he said, Devin, you missed it. So I'm going to erase that note. I'm just going to say what he told me to say. I have boldness here. He said, that's not what that was about. So he told me to get rid of that. Okay. So I'm going to tell you what he actually wanted me to say. The reason why that church had the impact is because Paul had a burden. He had a burden for people who didn't know Jesus. Paul wasn't doing this because it was a paid position for him. He wasn't doing this to receive glory. He wasn't doing this because he said, oh, well, because I have somebody telling me that I have to. He saw people who didn't know Jesus, and it bothered him. He was stirred in his spirit. He said, I know. He said, I was once blind. I was once persecuting the church. The scales covered my eyes. He said, I understand what it looks like to be outside of Christ. And he said, when I see people who were where I was, it said it stirred his heart. We have to get to the place to where when we see people who don't have a walk with God, that should move us. I work full-time for the church now, pastoring here. But before that, when I worked different secular jobs, everybody knew that if they talked to me long enough, they was coming to church. Talk to me long enough, you coming to church. Hey, man, how's it going? Da-da-da-da. We're talking about this, talking about that. We're talking about each other's day, or what'd you do this weekend? I did this, da-da-da. We're talking, having a good time. Next day. Hey, man, how's it going? Talking. A couple weeks go by. I'm just waiting, building relationship. And then an awesome service happened. Like we come in on a Monday. Hey, how was your weekend? Boy, let me tell you. Let me tell you about the weekend that I had. Oh, my goodness, was the church rocking this Sunday. Bro, church, bro, that's whack. No. You're probably talking about some Baptist church, bro. No. Let me tell you about what happened on. And if somebody's Baptist, I'm sorry. But I said, but let me tell you what happened, bro. Listen, let me tell you, man, the Spirit of God was going crazy. I said people were running around. They were screaming. People were under the presence of God. They were falling out. People were being healed. I was hearing testimonies. This lady was trying for X number of years to get a kid, and God helped her get a baby. I'm talking about miracles. He said, you sound like he was having a good time. Boy, good time is an understatement, man. You know what? You owe it to yourself to have this same experience too. You should come to church on Sunday. I said, I don't know. I said, okay, what's stopping you from coming to church this Sunday? I don't want to say a Sunday. This Sunday. What's going to stop you? Oh, well, maybe I don't got a ride. I can pick you up. Oh, I don't have clothes. Let's go to Rose's. We can get some slacks and a button up. I got you. What else? What else is going on? Oh, I got kids. Oh, that's great. Bring them to church too. Come on. I said, I'm tired. Oh, that's cool. We got a 6 o'clock service. That's great. So you can sleep in, and I'll get you for the 6 p.m. Why can't you come to church? What's the reason? What do you need? Let me know so I can meet the need. And the reason why I was like this, I wasn't trying to be rude, but I understood that how great they thought life was, I guarantee you it would be infinitely better with Jesus. I was stirred, whether it was at CVS, whether it was at Kmart, whenever it was at Centera Hospital. It doesn't matter where I was. They could have been a coworker. They could have been my boss for all I care. It didn't matter to me. They said company policy. You can't talk about religion. Well, then you're going to have to fire me then because somebody here needs Jesus. Everywhere I went, I was stirred. And here's the thing. The beautiful thing about a burden, it don't got nothing to do with the person that got a burden. I'm not special, and that's why I got a burden. It's because I recognize how awesome Jesus is, and that just got me really excited and got me really worked up. I am praying for at the YMCA. There's a last thing I say, Alyssa, you can come. I was at a coffee shop down Fort Monroe, and they don't have a bathroom in the coffee shop, and so caffeine makes you pee if you didn't know, and so I'm like, this is an interesting design, but there's a YMCA, and so I'm just going to go do my business. I come out, I start talking to the hostess there. Her name's Angel. And we get into this whole conversation. I'm starting witnessing to her, and she's crying, and I'm getting emotional. I'm like, Angel, God has reached for you, Angel. You need to come to church, Angel. She ain't come yet, but that's all right. I'm praying for Angel. I said, Lord, we got Resurrection Sunday coming up. I think it's time to go back to that YMCA. Let me go get some coffee at this coffee shop. I'm going to stop by. Angel! So good to see you. Oh, my goodness. I miss your face. But your face would look even better at church on Sunday. Or Resurrection Sunday. Oh, my goodness. Everybody would love to meet you. We're going to have food. We're going to play games. Angel, come on through. I'm an introvert by nature. That's hard for people to believe because I talk a lot. You can be talkative and be an introvert. All right? Not the same thing. And so, what I would prefer to do is I like video games. I'd prefer to be home chilling, playing my video games. That's what I'd like to do. That's what I'd prefer to do. But I understand that this is so important, that this is so much greater than myself. And so I could be selfish and keep this experience to myself, or I could be like, yo, somebody's life can be transformed. You know the greatest feeling that I've ever felt? When I'm sitting across the table from somebody and I'm teaching them a Bible study, and that moment, you can feel it. It click, and they start weeping. They crying. They're like, oh, my God, this is it. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right, buddy. I said, this thing that transformed my life, took this depressed, suicidal, cutting, self-harming, drinking, womanizing kid, took this mess from a broken home and transformed it into something different. Yeah, that same Jesus, that's what you feel right now. I said, yes, that crying, that's not because I'm persuasive, because I'm really not that persuasive. The reason you're crying